You've got this perfect spot in your yard. Maybe it's behind your barn or near that big oak tree or tucked against the north side of your house. But here's the problem, it barely gets any direct sunlight. So you think to yourself, well, I guess I can't grow anything useful there. But what if I told you that you're actually sitting on an untapped goldmine of garden potential? Stay with me, because in this video, I'm showing you 12 Amish-approved vegetables that don't just survive in the shade, they actually thrive there. Vegetable number 1. Spinach. Let's start with one of the easiest wins, spinach. This is a cold-tolerant, shade-loving green that the Amish have grown for generations. And honestly, if you're going to pick just one vegetable to plant in your shady spots, spinach should be high on that list. Here's why spinach absolutely crushes it in partial shade. First, it's incredibly cold-tolerant, which means it hates excessive heat. That's why shade is perfect for it, when you give spinach some afternoon. Protection from the intense sun. It stays tender longer and doesn't bolt as fast. Second, spinach is a fast grower. Even in shade, you can have harvestable leaves in 30 to 40 days from transplant. The practical tip is to start spinach from seed indoors. Yes, it takes up to 2 weeks to germinate, but when you transplant healthy seedlings into your shady garden, you're giving yourself a massive head start. The other trick is succession planting. Start a new batch every 2 weeks. This gives you continuous harvests of fresh spinach all through spring and fall. Vegetable number 2, chard. Next up is chard. If you're looking for a vegetable that keeps producing month after month with minimal effort, chard is your answer. The Amish love chard because once it's established, you basically let it be. The beauty of chard in a shady garden is that it grows slowly but steadily, which means it stays tender longer. You're not racing against the clock before it bolts. Plus, chard is perennial in nature. You can plant it once and harvest from it all season long. Just come through with your shears, cut what you need, and leave the rest to keep growing. Here's the practical approach. When you're planting chard seeds, remember that what looks like one seed is actually a seed pod with multiple seeds inside. So you'll often get several plants from a single seed. The other advantage is that chard comes in incredible colors: ruby red, golden yellow, rainbow varieties. Your shady garden bed becomes not just productive but beautiful. Vegetable number 3. Leaf lettuce. Most varieties of leaf lettuce will do remarkably well in shade. This is huge because lettuce is one of those crops that struggles with summer heat and intense sun. In the shade, you're solving one of the biggest problems lettuce growers face. Why does lettuce love shade? Those delicate leaves can actually burn or become bitter when exposed to full summer sun. Shade keeps the soil temperature stable and prevents it from drying out quickly. This means less watering and better quality greens overall. For practical application, choose quick maturing varieties that mature in 35 to 45 days. And here's the key: start from transplants instead of direct sowing. When you direct sow in a shady bed, tiny seedlings struggle in cool soil. But if you start them indoors and transplant healthy seedlings, you'll cut growing time significantly. Vegetable number 4, endive and discarole. These are probably the most underrated greens you can grow in a shady garden. The Amish have known for generations that endive and discarole are absolute workhorses in partial shade. Some people find the flavor strong on its own, but mix endivorous carole into a salad with milder greens, and you get wonderful complexity and texture. The leaves are beautifully frilly and look impressive on your plate, and they grow incredibly well in shade. The practical consideration is that they're slower to germinate than lettuce, 10 to 14 days versus 5 to 7. So definitely start these indoors under consistent warmth. Give them that head start and you'll have established plants ready to produce in your shady garden. Vegetable number 5, peas. Peas are the quintessential spring crop, and you know what that tells us? They absolutely despise heat and intense summer sun. So they're perfect for a shady garden. Peas thrive in cooler conditions with milder sun exposure. They produce better, stay tender longer, and yield more reliably when not stressed by heat. Plus, peas are nitrogen fixers, which means they improve your soil as they grow. Here's how to make peas work in your shady space. You can direct sow them if you soak them overnight first. A practical trick is if your peas start to flop, use small stakes or clips to guide them back toward the trellis. Make sure your pea bed stays consistently moist. Mulch helps with this. Peas are shallow-rooted, so you want to protect them from drying out. Vegetable number 6, radishes. Radishes are one of the most versatile and underappreciated shade crops you can grow. The Amish have grown radishes for centuries, and most people don't know what to do with them beyond basic salad radishes. Here's why radishes work in shade. Yes, they'll still bulb up with less sun, but they do it more slowly. That's actually the advantage. They get more tender and sweeter, and you have time to experiment. Try pickling them, it's incredible, or harvest young and roast them. Even young radish greens are edible and delicious in salads. The practical application is simple. Direct sow them and add about 15 extra days to maturity compared to the packet. So if it says 30 days, expect 45 in a shady bed. You weren't going to use that shady space anyway, right? The variety available in radishes is staggering: watermelon radish, daikon, black Spanish, green lobo. Your options are endless. Vegetable number 7, potatoes. Potatoes are more shade tolerant than shade loving. They will produce in partial shade, but you won't get massive yields. However, if you're realistic about expectations, you can get a decent harvest. Potatoes in shade are actually great for new potatoes specifically. Rather than trying to get them to size up, harvest them as soon as you see flowers developing. These baby new potatoes are tender, creamy, and absolutely delicious. Then you free up that shady bed for the next crop. The practical method is straightforward. Plant your seed potatoes and let them do their thing. You can even grow them in lasagna bed style or straw bale gardening. Just make sure they get consistent moisture. You won't get massive yields like full sun, but for a shady garden, potatoes are solid. Vegetable number 8, bush tomatoes. I know tomatoes need tons of sun, but here's the secret: certain bush tomato varieties can actually produce in partial shade. The key is choosing cold-tolerant, fast-maturing varieties suited for early spring planting. Glacier tomatoes are a perfect example. Any tomato with a cold weather name: Russia, New York, Canada. These varieties are naturally suited to shorter days and less intense sun. You won't get massive yields, but you'll absolutely get production. Here's the practical approach. Put your bush tomatoes in the sunniest part of your shady garden bed, if you have one section, getting 4 hours of sun and another getting 2. Choose the 4-hour spot for tomatoes. This maximizes what little sun you have. Be patient, because these plants grow slowly, but they will produce. Vegetable number 9, bush beans. Bush beans are another surprising success in partial shade. Full-size bean production prefers full sun, but bush beans are more forgiving. Why do bush beans tolerate shade better than pole beans? Their growth habit is more compact and doesn't require as much energy to produce. In partial shade, you might get 50 to 70% of the yield you'd get in full sun, but that's still a real harvest. Here's a practical trick if growing in containers, and containers are ideal for shady gardens because you can move them. Rotate your containers regularly so different sides get equal sun exposure. This balances the shade factor and keeps production consistent. Vegetable number 10, basil. Certain basil varieties actually thrive in partial shade. Not sweet basil, but varieties like African blue basil and Thai basil perform beautifully in shade. Why is African blue basil perfect for a shady garden? First, it's perennial. You can cut it back hard, and it explodes back with new growth. Second, it's a fantastic pollinator plant that attracts bees. Third, it produces better quality leaves when not stressed by excessive heat. Practically speaking, plant basil once and keep harvesting. Cut it regularly, and it gets bushier. These plants can get quite large in a season. If you want basil for pollinators and ornamental value, shade is actually ideal. Vegetable number 11, cilantro and parsley. Cilantro and parsley genuinely prefer partial shade, especially cilantro. This is because cilantro's biggest enemy is heat. It bolts almost the moment temperatures climb. This is where shade becomes your secret weapon. A shady garden is the cilantro solution. Yes, it grows slower, but that's the whole point. It stays productive longer. And if you get a slow bolt variety, you're even more protected. The practical application is simple. Direct sow cilantro and parsley in your shady bed. Both are easy germinators. You'll harvest more slowly than in full sun, but you'll actually have cilantro throughout the season instead of it bolting all at once. Vegetable number 12, green onions. Our final crop is green onions. I'm specifically talking about eating the green tops, not producing storage onions with big bulbs. Why do green onions work in shade? Because you're not trying to bulb anything. You're just harvesting the leafy tops for flavor. They'll grow more slowly, but you'll still get consistent production of that delicious allium flavor. Here's the practical approach. Plant sets or seeds, then harvest the tops whenever you need them. Come through with scissors, cut what you want, and leave the roots in the ground. New leaves will grow back. This gives you continuous supply with virtually no maintenance. Bonus section: 6 Shade Garden Tips. Tip 1. Plan for slower growth. Most of these vegetables will grow slower in shade. Plan for 15 to 25% longer maturity dates than packets suggest. This isn't a problem, it's reality. Adjust expectations and you'll be thrilled with results. Tip 2. Water less often. Sun means less evaporation. Your soil stays moist longer. The most common mistake in shady gardens is overwatering. Check soil moisture before watering. If the top inch is still moist, don't water yet. Tip 3. Start from transplants. Start shade vegetables from transplants rather than seeds. Cool soil slows seed germination. Transplanting healthy seedlings gives them a massive head start they need. Tip 4. Maximize available sunlight. If a tree shades your garden and it's done fruiting, prune it. Opening your shade garden by even 30 minutes of additional sunlight daily makes a noticeable difference in growth and yield. Tip 5. Use reflective surfaces. Light colors reflect light. If you have an old fence, wall, or garage near your shady bed, painting it lighter color bounces additional light into your growing area. Tip 6. Use container gardening. Growing in containers gives flexibility. You can start plants in shade during cool seasons, then move them into more sun as conditions change. There you have it, 12 vegetables the Amish have successfully grown in partial shade for generations. These aren't experimental crops. These are tried and true workhorses that produce real food for real families. Do you have a shady section of your garden? What have you successfully grown there? Drop your experiences in the comments below. I read every comment and love hearing what's working for you. What topics would you like to see next? Seed starting? Preserving your harvest? Companion planting? Let me know what helps you most. We're putting out 3 videos every week with practical growing advice. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. You won't want to miss what's coming. Before you go, hit that like button. It takes 1 second and helps our channel grow. Think of it as giving yourself good gardening luck. Keep growing. I'll see you in the next video.